Man, I never do it right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and if this is your first time tuning in to the pre-party, well, thanks for checking it out. We're here to talk NWA the Hour Before POWERRR. Too sweet to be sour, if you don't mind me ripping off people. We are here to talk NWA with you, the hashtag NWA fam, and I do appreciate you guys being here. Wow, that's not a really good shot of what. That's not a very pretty shot of me. What is going on over here? All right, well, it is what it is. It's not normally that. Why does it look so weird? That's too close. All right, well, it is what it is at this point. So what's up, guys? I hope you had a great week. First of all, I want to say thanks to Tim, NWA Gold, for sitting in for me last week. Was feeling a little bit under the weather, and Tim not only did a great job, but he's welcome back to host this show anytime. I see the great Hisa is in the house. Welcome, Hisa. If you guys want to know about wrestling championships and histories, you need to check out his site. It's wrestling dash. Oh man, I always screw this up. I have to look it up. Sorry, Hisa. I don't mean to be mean. Wrestling titles. Is it wrestling title? Yeah, there it is. Wrestling titles.com. Great site. A lot of what he did there was inspiration for what we do here at the Alliance blog. He was a guy, Hisa, who basically, sorry, I'm kind of trying to find my screen here. Hisa was the guy that was documenting the history of the NWA long before anyone else was. I came aboard and tried to do my best to help, cover what the NWA was and is and all that good stuff. But Hisa, he was the guy that was doing it much, much earlier than me. That's a better picture. I like that a lot better. You guys see back here, I've got my PWZ sticker right here. Rick Del Santo, my guy, my boy. Maybe I should have advertised more. Not a lot of people here today. That's all right. There is a lot of cool things happening in the NWA this week. Obviously the press is out there. Everybody and their brother are doing interviews for the NWA, which is great. I should have been more proactive about getting somebody on. You've got William Patrick Corgan talking to everybody, PW Insider, Ariel. What's that guy's last name? Julia. I don't know how to say it. What's up, Ben? The great Keebs is in the house. A lot of great interviews. You should check them all out, especially his interview with Ariel, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his name again. Oh, there it is. Jeremy did it. Halwani. Okay. A great interview. I really enjoyed that interview. And Ben was sitting in the wrong booth. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's a great thing about NWA Gold, Tim. He's very prompt and he's got his S together, where me, I'm kind of like a last minute guy. So Sean says they're all kissing Triple H's butt. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. They're all kissing Triple H's butt. But why wouldn't you? Now is the time to kiss Triple H's ass. Think of it this way, man. The NWA, although it is a commodity, although there is value to it, there might be more value associated to Triple H than there is to Billy Corgan. And what if, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but like I heard Bully Ray talking about Triple H today, and that on Busted Open radio show, I should point that out. And Bully Ray was mentioning that it was Triple H's vision a long time ago that there would be more of a territory, so that you would use, for example, he mentioned Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman, and Jerry Lawler specifically. And so like Cornette in Smoky Mountain would be like one step of the development, and then Paul Heyman in ECW would be the second step of development, or third, or whatever, no particular order. And then you would have USWA with with Jerry Lawler, and you would have these three developmental promotions, these three developmental leagues, much like Major League Baseball with the AAA, Single A, and Double A. Although I messed that up too, but you get what I'm saying. There would be like this element of development and rise, and there'd be place for stars on the way down too. Somebody like, and I'm not saying he's washed up by any sense of the imagination, but I know that Ciampa did not want to. Tommaso did not want to go to the main roster for a long time because he wanted to have that time with his family. So imagine if guys like him who could just stay at that mid-level and be very happy wrestling, on television and a tour every now and then, but mostly in that one specific area. And you could do that with other folks on the roster, or give guys a break, or let guys rest up, give them time off the main roster, freshen them up, come back with a gimmick change. And imagine if the NWA was a part of that. That's a long way for me to say all that. And then Tim also points out that Chris Van Vliet interviewed William Patrick Corgan. I like Chris Van Vliet. I've heard a lot of good things about him. Some of his interviews are interesting. You guys should subscribe to his channel. But yeah, it's a very weird time because for so long, all of us kind of thought we knew what was going to happen in the WWE. It was Vince McMahon, so it was going to be the Vince McMahon show, and it was going to be the way he perceived what pro wrestling is, and that's changed very rapidly in a short amount of time. And you're seeing I hear people like Heaves has made memes of it, but like the puns were like they're talking about, oh, the WWE keeps signing former WWE talent, they're going to be just like AEW. Well, yeah, but like there's guys out there who still are free agents, and they're guys, EC3 is someone that comes to mind who's, I don't believe he's signed to any particular roster. And if the NWA, if the NWA wanted to continue to use him, that's great. But if Triple H called, do you think he wouldn't take a contract? Or Adam Scherr, if the money's right, if the price is right? There's a lot of guys who have, we just saw it last night on Raw. Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, if you will, came back to the WWE in a big, big fashion. And again, I think this is, we're seeing a lot of these top tier talents. Now they're not available to the independent scene anymore in a promotion like the NWA, who kind of thrives on using guys building up their core roster, but sprinkling in some names with value. I mean, they brought in Sam Shaw, and just as soon as he was here, he was out the door again back in the WWE. So it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of plays out. But one thing is for certain, and I don't think it's deniable, when Triple H assumed control of the talent relations and of the storylines, becoming a booker, if you will, I really think it's changing the dynamic of not just what the WWE is doing, but everything down below too. I mean, look, New Japan Strong is starting to sign people to talent, and not that I know there's a lot of negative publicity surrounding it, but Chris Dickinson just got signed by New Japan Strong. And I'm not saying that Chris Dickinson was even on the NWA radar, because probably wasn't, but I mean, he wasn't even on the radar, and now he's a part of New Japan Strong. That sounded funny. Let me try that again. Chris Dickinson wasn't a regular for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't even think he was a regular for New Japan Strong. I know he had a few appearances, but now he's locked up with that promotion. And now that there's restrictions that are easing off because of COVID, we're starting to see stuff happen, like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's Bad Dude Tito. Tito is teaming for a while there with Che Cabrera as the Wolf Zaddies, and they were really a dominant tag team, fun team to watch. And all of a sudden, he started making appearances with New Japan Strong. Hell, he just spent the last month in Japan with Jonah as the Mighty Don't Kneel, TMDK. So I mean, things are happening, man, and it's crazy. And if you're somebody like who's not signed, somebody's not under contract, for example, Jordan Clearwater, he is a part of the NWA roster. He's an integral part of Idolmania Sports Management. But if tomorrow, New Japan Strong wants to sign him, like, what's going to stop him from doing that? I don't think he's locked up to any real contract with the NWA. I think it's just kind of a per appearance deal. And then, and then Sean Omega pointed out that Jeff Jarrett is a free agent again. And there was rumors before he signed with the WWE that he was in talks with some like minor league baseball owners to start another pro wrestling company. That would be like number 4, wouldn't it? Impact, Ring Ka King, Global Force Wrestling, and then whatever happens next. And I mean, he was an integral part of World Wrestling All-Stars from Australia. So, I mean, if anyone can make something happen, it's Jarrett. We've seen it. I know people say he's a failure, which I scratch my head. I don't know how you get that. He's done a lot. There's a reason why McMahon was looking at him doing live events and helping out, and that's part of the company. But the truth be told, he might have more opportunity outside the WWE, and especially, again, are we heading for another boom in pro wrestling? It seems like it. And if not, what Jarrett could help the NWA with, or MLW, or the United Wrestling Network, or really anybody not named AEW. The sky's the limit. It's crazy. This is a fun time to be a wrestling fan. Heeb says Murdoch said something cool on the WrestleZone podcast about wanting to wrestle Kenta, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce Marufuji. Again, now that none of them are young boys anymore. Yeah, well, you got to remember too, Murdoch had spent a lot of time in Pro Wrestling Noah. I don't know if people know that. Do people know that? That as a protege of Harley Race, World Legion Wrestling had a pipeline to Pro Wrestling Noah. A lot of talents from Pro Wrestling Noah came to the United States to wrestle for Harley Race, and a lot of those talents from WLW went to Pro Wrestling Noah. And Trevor Murdoch was one of those guys. He spent a lot of time wrestling in Japan. Do people not know that? I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. He's way more seasoned than people think. People think, oh, he's just a former ex-WWE guy. Yeah, to a degree, but that guy paid his dues. That's why I don't get why people sleep on Trevor Murdoch, and maybe that's part of his own fault because he's not out there more on social media, and you're starting to see a little bit more of it now. I think he's even got a TikTok. Can you believe that? Trevor Murdoch's on TikTok. Is he? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was just the NWA account. But I saw a video with Trevor Murdoch on TikTok, and I thought that was pretty awesome. By the way, I'm only 50 followers on TikTok away from reaching 1,000. And then I can start going live with my hot wrestling takes on TikTok. So if you have any desire to see me dance and wiggle, my money don't jiggle, it folds, all that stuff, go check out TikTok. I'm really selling it, aren't I? Guys, it's been a week and I haven't had much caffeine. Like I'm not drinking energy drinks right now. So if the energy seems a little weird, it's a little off. I'll be honest, it is. I didn't pound a bang before we got on the show. My good friend Poyo Del Mar's here, and I always want to say what's up to Poyo. How you doing? What's up, girl? Poyo's gonna be in St. Louis in a week from now, or not even a week. We're talking just a few days. We're just talking 4 more days. Heebs, you're the best, man. I love you, Heebs. You're one of my favorite people on the internet. You and Poyo, you're in good company. And Lamb, I'm a Lamb some guy. I don't have my shirt on today, but I'm a Lamb some guy. And Jeremy's here. I didn't even say hi to Jeremy. What's up, Jeremy? How you doing, brother? Thanks for holding it down last week. The other Alliance guys were really powering the whole podcast network last week. And good stuff, man. Good stuff. We're on Instagram Live right now. There's one person watching. It might be Tim from NWA Gold. Yeah, man. So we're talking about a lot of fun stuff in the world of wrestling right now. Poyo, I'd love to hear your take on what Triple H is sending to power in the WWE, how that's going to impact some of the independents. What are your thoughts, Poyo? I'm going to post them on the screen when they get there. Willie's in the house. What's up, Willie? You better get your tires joke in quick. I got to post that. My boy Lamb, what did you miss? Just me rambling. Oh, yeah. Slice Boogie, man. I guess he had a rough weekend in Philly. He's going to probably be on the shelf for a little bit. I don't know what that's going to do for the bodega. I know that, it's interesting. Let me jump to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood real quick because that's where Slice Boogie and Papo Esco and your boy Danny Limelight, that's where they have been teaming. But just as of late, Papo Esco lost his television championship, a belt that he held very, very near and dear to his heart. Plus, the dude was just killing it in the ring. Had some great matches as TV champion. And Slice had been Slice just came off a really good match with Danny Limelight a few weeks ago on television. And it kind of felt like maybe the team might be getting back together to make another run at the United Wrestling Network tag team titles, but I don't know what's going to happen now. You got Danny Limelight literally in the limelight. He has got a shot at the United Wrestling Network World Champion. We're assuming that's going to be Jordan Clearwater, who's still champion at the moment. We'll see how that plays out on television. Of course, they just had their pay-per-view over the weekend. Didn't catch it yet, but it's on my queue. I did order it from Fight. You could do that as well. If you go to Fight, just check out Primetime Live. And then Poyo said, repeat the question. So I'll be happy to. Poyo, how do you feel about Triple H's impact on the world of the independent pro wrestling now that he has kind of become the head booker for the World Wrestling Entertainment? Just on the cuff, I can think of a couple of names that he's brought back to the WWE, the Hit Row, Killer Cross, Johnny Wrestling last night, and how that's going to, with him having a little bit closer pulse to what's, going on in the world of pro wrestling than maybe his predecessor. Are we going to see more independent wrestling names picked up? And what does that do for a promotion like the NWA when there's a lot of guys who are, have agreements but aren't like under contract? What's going to prevent someone like Jordan Clearwater, United Wrestling Network World Champion, and a part of the Gold Rush? What's going to happen if Triple H comes calling? And do you see that happening more and more? Lamb says maybe David will bring in Hernandez to let him team up with Papo. That would be pretty badass, to be quite honest. I would love that. Hot Stuff Hernandez, if you guys don't know this, has a great history with the NWA. And not that Marquez is associated with the brand anymore, but Hot Stuff Hernandez is a former North American champion, national champion. Technically, I think a tag team champion too with Homicide. Did a lot for the NWA in that Southwest territory. And he's been around a lot longer than some people think. And the fact that he's still going this day right now, I mean, putting him in with Papo Esco, that's a badass tag team. That is. Heap says a ruptured Achilles in football is a potentially career ender. Yes. Wrestling is a little bit different. And you've heard, I've heard of guys coming back from injuries similar or worse. I don't know. You're right. I'm not a doctor either. I don't think it's the end of the world for Boogie. I think he just has to learn he's gonna have to learn how to do things differently. Heeb says Kane and Murdoch were the original Triple H guys. Man, and I was talking about how Murdoch was did a lot of work with Pro Wrestling Noah. Cade was trained by Shawn Michaels at the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, the same place that trained the Brian Kendrick, Brian Danielson, Shooter Schultz. I mean, they really did. That was like a farm system to the early days of the WWE. And I remember hearing famously when all those guys got released that JR said, "Hey, man, this isn't the end of the road. It's just not now. Go make yourself a star elsewhere, and we'll take a look at you later." And each one of those guys did that. Brian Danielson, before Ring of Honor really started making his name in APW in Hayward, California. Brian Kendrick came out to Southern California and was working on the independent scene out here. Garrison Cade, Lance Cade ended up, he was doing shows in Japan. Like he was working with not DDT, not Michinoku Pro, but one of those promotions out there. In fact, Shawn Michaels took him and Danielson out on a tour out there. And it was kind of cool to see them pop up later down the road. All three of those guys ended up back in the WWE when early in their careers they were told it wasn't going to happen. Sean Mega says, yeah, Paul Lynn. Yeah, he was part of that too. I think he was in the later group, but yeah, all trained by the Shawn Michaels or Rudy Boy Gonzalez at the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy. Okay. Want to get to Poyo because I think that was a cool question, and I know Poyo's going to have a great answer. In my opinion, Triple H will have less immediate impact on the indies than than Tony Khan does. Tony seems to enjoy taking seldom used talents affiliated with AEW, utilizing them in ways which do nothing for them on TV once they get some indie credibility, then sending them back to obscurity. Damn, Pollo, I think you were pretty. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. There's so many guys like Brian Cage. Brian Cage was an Impact World Champion. Brian Cage could be a star in a lot of places, and he's basically like mid-card Ring of Honor guy. You know, you haven't even seen him in AEW in a long time, and he's a guy that I think, man, give him a decent manager and he could be a star in the NWA. He could be a star for MLW. Could you imagine a series of matches between Hammerstone and Brian Cage, two biggest dudes on the planet? I'm down for it. Big Chris Dog says, question to all, besides the Camille versus Taya match, what are you guys actually excited about? I want to hear a certain match that not that all of them copped out. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to read more of Pollo's answers. In Catch 22 for talents, because naturally they want to be seen or work with AEW, but the visibility does not present them in the most positive light. I can think of several talents which immediately come to mind who have been through this exact thing in recent months. I bet you're talking about Brian Cage too. As it relates specifically to the NWA, it is a challenge to secure talents for long-term commitments without contracts, and the NWA does not have that capability at this juncture. Yeah, I mean, and look, this is, despite some of the negative criticism that you hear from us on Thursday nights, this is a very pro-NWA channel. Like, I want nothing more to see Billy succeed and, the stars align for the National Wrestling Alliance, and for them to make those lofty goals as being one of the top wrestling promotions in the world, not just in the country. And I think there is potential for that to happen, but when there's so many things holding them back, and not being able to lock up a roster, I think it's not the end of the world. Of course, they've done pretty well thus far, but if Triple H goes on a signing spree, if Jeff Jarrett emerges as another wrestling promotion, I mean, it could decimate a roster, and then what are you left with? So it's kind of hard to see. Lamb brings up a good point. That's why it's important for the NWA to build up the young unknown talents like they do this season. Absolutely. And what was really cool is I was listening to an interview with Billy today, and he specifically mentioned Pollo's man, the Thrillbilly, as somebody like diamond in the rough. Didn't know what he was until he had him in the ring, and it was like, wow, this guy's pretty good. And he fits that mold that Billy's kind of looking for, the bigger guy, the 6'5", the 250 to 300 pound dude. And Thrillbilly's got an opportunity of a lifetime. Win, lose, or draw, getting in the ring with Davey Richards with that big of a spotlight is going to do something for his career. Outside of him being embarrassed, which I don't think Thrillbilly's going to be embarrassed at all. The dude's capable. And yes, he's facing a very tough veteran in Davey Richards, but don't sleep on what the Thrillbilly's going to bring to the table. So get back to some more of Chris's comments. Sean says, what about NWA 74? I mean, we'll probably talk a lot about the 74 on Thursday, but I think it's a great card. I was talking on Instagram Live earlier about how I thought this card was shaping up to look pretty damn good, man. And, I think, again, I don't like the idea of crowning tag team champions in a battle royal, but there's some very interesting names in there. I either I'm missing a name, or I think I've gotten 9 out of the 10. You guys tell me if I'm right, if I'm missing a team. But for that battle royal, I've got. I'll just show you who I've got. Of course, the Ill Begotten. You can't forget about the Ill Begotten. And then, of course, you've got the Now. Hale Collins and Vic Delicious. Am I saying that right? Dalhush. The Miserably Faithful. You've got Gold Rush, Marche, and Jordan Clearwater. Rough and Ready, who we haven't seen team in the NWA before, and honestly, I don't think they've ever teamed before. Graves and no, I'm sorry. They did team one time before in the NWA. I take that back. Graves and Deontay. Of course, odds-on favorite, you got the Fixers, Wrecking Ball Legursky and Jay Bradley. You've got Hawx Aerie, PJ Luke Hawx. You've got Team Ambition, Carmelo Jackson and Mike Outlaw. You got Rush Freeman and Brady Pierce, the Spectaculars. They do enjoy themselves a Dos Equis. And I mean, that tag team battle royal, I've got 9 of them. Am I missing someone? You guys know? Going back to what our pal Miss Poyo was saying is that Tony Khan continues to sign or work with new talents, adding to a roster which already includes countless talents who are never seen on actual TV. So the upside is they get a contract. The downside is they never are utilized and waste valuable time. They could be growing as performers and gaining reputations, which makes them valuable in the future. One thing I will say this, though, is that Tony Khan does allow freedom for a lot of his talents. Like, Lance Archer, Lance Hoyt is currently was in New Japan as of just a few days ago. And then you see some of those talents from the talents show up from AEW and promotions like Memphis Championship Wrestling, part of the United Wrestling Network. You see them show up in what's that promotion out there in Boston? I can't think of it right now, but they show up in a lot of different places on the independents. Like Brian Cage was still wrestling in XPW until recently. I think he's still booked for their next show. So, I don't know how that all works out, but yeah, I tend to agree with you, but I also feel like with Triple H signing some of these big name talents that were available, and maybe those guys weren't for the NWA, like a guy like Killer Cross. I don't know how he was still a free agent. I don't know how Impact didn't go after him, or, I guess there was some bad blood there at Impact, but, AEW, I can't believe they didn't go after him. I can't believe New Japan didn't go after him. The dude is a star. And those promos that he's been putting out on Instagram have been amazing. Lamb says AEW Dark and Elevation are nice. Money and talents are getting more views on them, but otherwise, yeah, it's hard for many talents. TK needs to find a better balance. And then Poyo says the Thrillbilly Silas Mason is, even from an unbiased point of view as possible in this scenario, a huge prospect for the NWA. He's everything NWA fans want or expect, with something very special at his side. Hey, Poyo, you putting yourself over. That's all right. You're allowed to do that. No, but yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I didn't know anything about Thrillbilly, and I saw that he had, wrestled a few shows in California, wrestled in the Midwest. But yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for him. And especially, look, they're putting him in the ring with Davey Richards. They could be putting him in the ring with anybody. Davey Richards is a star. Win, lose, or draw, I think this is a dynamic opportunity for Silas, for the Thrillbilly. And then Poyle points out, yeah, but with smaller promotions, invest in individuals who they can lose at any moment. Yeah, you're right. It's difficult, and it's just this weird dichotomy. But I mean, we're also at that point now. We talked about, we didn't talk about recently, but if you look back in the history of pro wrestling, one of the biggest times was during those Monday Night Wars, and you never knew what was going to happen. And you're seeing these on the A&E biographies. They're really doing these deep dives, and Lex Luger appearing on Nitro because WWE just let his contract run out, of all things. There's guys out there who will present themselves. Like, when the time comes when Hammerstone gets picked up by one of the two bigger promotions, or, even New Japan, when that time comes, he's a star. Hammerstone might not be on the top wrestling promotion right now, but that dude has money written all over him. And I feel like somebody like Hammerstone, or somebody like Nick Aldis, like, we talk about Nick Aldis like it's a foregone conclusion that he's NWA for life, but that's not necessarily the case. And when the time comes for him to take that next step, if he chooses to, are you telling me that's not going to be a big deal when he shows up in the WWE, or not a big deal when he shows up in AEW, or that next step, New Japan? Lamb points out that it's a risk that they have to take. Impact does it a lot. They have talents on the show, build them up, give them a platform, and then they leave sometimes. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talents like that. And it's like Impact too. It seems like it gives people second chances a lot, right? Like guys that could have been something in the WWE for whatever reason didn't plan out, didn't work out. Then they go to AEW and become stars. Impact and become stars. Now we've been spending a lot of time talking about promotions that are not connected to the National Wrestling Alliance. Let's make sure we talk about the show real quick here. And of course, I mean, that 74th anniversary show, to answer Chris's question, what matches are you looking forward to? Well, obviously, I think real quick, I'll run down these. I think the Burke Invitational is going to be a lot of fun. There's some throwaway talent in there, not to be rude, but like I love Taryn Terrell. I don't think she's going to be a serious contender for the Women's World Championship anytime soon. And that's with a background of having victories in Impact and titles in Impact. I look at Natalia Markova. I look at Jennacide. I look at Max the Impaler. And, maybe not the Dark Horse, but Kylan King. All four of those ladies would be a very interesting victor. With Kylan King, if Camille, retains the title, that's a very excellent matchup. Max the Impaler, I think, would be like the star marquee matchup because of her, not only her name recognition, but just what she brings to the ring. Camille hasn't seen anything like that. And then Jennacide, I think they've been grooming her for some time to be like the next big thing in that women's division. And, they need to pull the trigger eventually, or else they're going to lose her like they did Lady Frost. And then going back to Natalia Markova, I think she's the spicy one. She's the interesting one because, she's not as big as Camille, but she's feisty and she's pretty well polished in the ring. And I think she brings a different element to, again, something that maybe Camille hasn't seen since Thunder Rosa. And then, looking at other matches on night one, I really am looking forward to the World Tag Team title match. I think that's going to be a banger right there. They had a great match on Power. They had a great match at Always Ready. No, not Always Ready. Excuse me. The Crockett Cup, during the Crockett Cup tournament. That looks like a fun match. I'm not a big Scion fan, but I am a big Jack Stane fan. So anytime I get to see him in the ring, that's something I look forward to. So night one, if you're asking me, and then of course, two more matches I just thought of. I mean, Pope and Rodney Mack, that one should be great. I'm a huge Pope guy. You guys know this. And Rodney Mack, one of the most underutilized guys in the NWA period. These guys could tear the house down if they want to. And then Mims and EC3, again, so many questions in this match. And EC3 could be, shit, man. EC3, he's one of those guys that I wouldn't be surprised if is on the horn with Triple H and ends up in the WWE down the road. And then I could also see him not showing up there, and Control Your Narrative just keeps growing. I don't know. But, those are some of the matches that I'm looking at. Let's see more of your comments. Jacob Fatu. Yeah, Jacob Fatu is a star too. And that's the thing, man. MLW has this great way of finding talent. Remember when they started booking Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and everyone was like, who's this kid? He was in CZW, don't get me wrong. He was a Combat Zone wrestling champion, but, he wasn't a big name. And now he's one of the biggest stars in the world of wrestling. Yeah, Poyo, 100%. And when the Pope first came to the NWA, he talked about he needed to make his horseman. And I keep saying it that way, but it's so ingrained in me because he kept saying, I'm out here to find my horseman. And that's exactly how he said it. And I just keep thinking, man, if he were to start a horseman group, if that was a faction that he did want to come up with, man, Rodney Mack would be a hell of an enforcer for that group. Just saying. Heebs is booking it now. Control Your Narrative versus the NWA War Games match at the pay-per-view near you soon. I guess the next pay-per-view I heard Billy mention it would be in November. So War Games in November? Damn, maybe you're onto something. And then as far as night 2 goes, let me pull that comment off. As far as night 2 goes, like what matches am I looking forward to on night 2? I think Colby versus Caprice should be a lot of fun. Of course, Davey Richards versus Thrillbilly, that's going to be a lot of fun. The whole Battle Royal, I think, is going to be fun. It'll be interesting what Aldis and Flip put together, because this is not their first time either. This will be like the third time they've wrestled. Remember, Flip famously challenged for the 10 pounds of gold before Cody Rhodes. I believe that episode of The Elite was called Flip Before Cody. And that could be a lot of fun. That match, I mean, can really be a lot of fun. Empower versus Hex is also the third time for them. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I've kind of changed my tune on Tyrus and Trevor. You know, Billy sold me on this concept of these two bruiserweights, these two giants of men. You know, look, Trevor Murdoch, to me, I will watch Trevor Murdoch wrestle just about anybody. He's had some great moments in the NWA. This new, more cold, calculating, Harley-esque Trevor Murdoch is just so much fun. And seeing him come out there and cut the promos with the low, gravelly voice and very succinct in what he's trying to say, and then get out in the ring and just beat the crap out of people. The only thing stopping me from being completely in love with this whole gimmick is I wish he would just adopt the pile driver, get rid of the Bulldog, and bring back the pile driver like Harley would. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, there's, you know, whoever wins the women's invitational versus whoever's holding the Burke. I think that'll be a fun match too. So yeah, to answer your question, Chris, I think there's a lot of fun set up for this show. I think it's going to be a lot of interesting things. I don't think we can just sleep on this card. You know, Chris, and I know you like to be controversial. I know you like to get people to talk, but there's some parts of this card I'm really into. Sure, there's some matches that I don't care about. Sure, there are. You know, but they can't all be winners. And like I said, the pay-per-views have always been the selling point for the NWA. I think the only pay-per-view I didn't enjoy was Back for the Attack. That's the only one I don't think I enjoyed. That was the one that honored the memory of the question mark. I think that's what it was. Or maybe that was When Our Shadows Fall. Now I'm confused. But yeah, for the most part, the pay-per-views have been solid. Heeb says the Pope Tyrus title match that replayed last week was low-key really good. Enough said. Yeah, man. Like, again, it's easy to hate on Tyrus because he doesn't move like a junior heavyweight. Hell, he struggles in the ring to move like a regular wrestler. But you also have to keep in mind he's not regular. He's much bigger than most of the guys. And when you think about what he can do in that ring, like when he wants to go, man, like you saw it when he wrestled Mims, he ate Mims up, man. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be pretty fun. Lamb says to hype up the 74, they should do a 10 pounds of gold to promote the title match. I mean, I think they should have already done it. The fact that it's not out yet, I don't think it's going to be, but I could be wrong. Tonight's the celebration of the 74th. So let's get to that. Oh, real quick. Willie Bowen says Tyrus the Blimp. Yeah, man, like you don't have to love him, but you got to appreciate what he's going to bring to the ring. You know, he steps in with Trevor, and if he walks away, he's world champion, we're all going to be eating crow. Yeah, so Heeb says the way Tyrus and Murdoch have been talking on the Three Wise Men, it's just they have been both hitting the gym hard. Yeah, I mean, I see the pictures of Tyrus in the gym. I see him. Look, the guy is an athlete. I know I'm kind of eating my own words here. The guy's an athlete. And if he's at his best, It's going to be a fun match. I just hope he's at his best. All right. So, and then getting to tonight's event, which of course is the celebration of the 74th. I don't know if these are in any particular order, but these are what I'm going to go with. Gustavo and Rhett Titus, the makeshift tag team, taking on Hawx Aerie versus the Dirty Sexy Boys. Now, again, Gustavo has been very impressive on USA. Rhett Titus is actually one of my favorites to watch on USA. Both of them excel in the junior heavyweight division. This is not a team. This isn't a triple threat with a lot of bruisers in here. Luke is probably the biggest guy, and that's not because of his height, but because of the amount of time he spends in the gym. I'm looking forward to this one, and it should be fun. You got to bear with, of course, Velvet Sky on commentary because she goes nuts for the Dirty Sexy Boys. But just the match itself looks pretty good to me. Let me get some water. And the next match, Caprice Coleman versus Chris Adonis. Caprice Coleman, the ageless, what do they call him? The ageless, I don't know. The man time forgot, I guess. Caprice Coleman is fun as hell to watch. When that guy's in the ring, watch out, man. That guy's a lot of fun. I think he brings something dynamic to the NWA. I kind of hope that he finds his way. With everything that's happening with Ring of Honor, they still aren't doing live television. And until they do, I hope Caprice is still working with the NWA. And if even once TV starts, I hope they still are able to work something out where he can be a part of the NWA. Even in this capacity, it's been a lot of fun watching him, back in an NWA ring. And I do mean the word back. Caprice spent many years in the leaner years of the NWA with whether it be Anarchy or Wild Side and some of the promotions that were on the Eastern Seaboard in that Mid-Atlantic area. Just a great freaking guy to watch in the ring. And then this one, I was scratching my head at first why they're having the champions face each other. And then it made sense that both of these ladies, when you look at Kenzie Paige, when she wrestles by herself, she's mostly a baby face. When she's teaming with Ella Envy, she's less of a baby face. Ella Envy's a straight up heel. And I don't know if they're pitching it this way, but it looks like Ella Envy is going to be, this matchup is a matchup of who's going to lead the team. And if Ella Envy wins, we can expect them to be more of a heel tag team. And if Kenzie wins, maybe they'll be more of a face tag team. I'm not exactly sure. But Kenzie Paige is one of these talents that I feel like gets better every time she's in the ring. And Ella Envy is growing on me as well as a performer. I enjoy them together as a team. Can't wait to see what they can do against each other. And then what is like probably the main event, but it's a non-title match. We're seeing the debut of the Spectaculars. I don't know what to expect from this. I honestly don't. The Commonwealth Connection is an established tag team. They got established by the NWA. Let's not forget that they were two single competitors. Like the whole thing about the Commonwealth Connection is like that was supposed to be Nick Aldis. This was supposed to be the British invasion, bringing Aldis and Williams back together to return to that form of what they had in Impact. And because of Cardona and everything else that's happened, it became Harry Smith. And the tag team has done well for themselves. Obviously, they've won the tag titles. They've had a lot of good matches in the NWA. And this will be interesting to see how they fare against the Spectaculars and see what the Spectaculars are all about. Two big guys, man. Rush Freeman is no joke. And Brady Pierce is a big dude as well. Like, I don't know. It looks exciting to me. It looks interesting. At the very least, it looks interesting to me. And I don't know. Maybe you're looking at the next U.S. Tag Team Champions. Let me get to more of your comments. Lamb says, is Adonis even on the pay-per-view card? It doesn't look like he is. I mean, at least not yet. Lamb also points out Dango and JTG are not in the title match, huh? Yeah, it's interesting. Neither are the OGK. And I don't know what that means. I'm not, I don't, if I'm looking at the tea leaves, I don't know exactly what it means. But I would have put JTG and Dango in that U.S. tag battle royal. I just don't know what the plan is with them. Maybe they weren't available. Our pal Poyo says, this is my thought on the pay-per-views. There are main events and there are lower card matches, and every match does not specifically need to have huge stakes behind giving those talents an opportunity to shine on a grand platform, which might well set the table for what is to come. And that's a great take, Poyo. It is. And I don't need every match to be like a Meltzer 5-star or for a world title or any title. Just some of the matches don't interest me. And just being completely honest, I know that I feel like they have a plan for Magic Jake Dumas. I know they have a plan for Mercutio. The matchup doesn't interest me. It doesn't have any like je ne sais quoi. It just doesn't have anything behind it. Can they go out and have a great match? Sure they can. They sure can. And and I hope they do. But it's just not a match that I'm looking forward to. You know what I mean? Heaves, great point. I was just watching Power earlier today, last week's episode, and yeah, Velvet gave Tim Storm the 10 pounds of gold title shot. Could that be addressed at 74? What happens? What happens when Tyrus gives everything he's got to beat to beat Trevor Murdoch, and maybe he comes up short, or maybe he wins? Maybe Tyrus wins, and then Tim Storm can come out and take that belt from him as a fresh, ready to go guy. I mean, woo! That's adding some certainly an element to it, and it'll be interesting if they bring it up tonight on Power. Shad says I can get behind Caprice as a TV champion. Yeah, hell yeah. Although I'll secretly, yeah, no, you know what? Yeah, that would be awesome. Caprice is a TV champ. I want to see what that title can do without Tyrus holding it. And I know that's sacrilege because he's the king of all media. He's the Howard Stern of pro wrestling. He's on Fox News. He's on all these channels. He's got the podcast. But you know what? I want to see someone who is going to defend that title on a regular basis. The whole point of that belt to me was supposed to, when they first introduced it, they put it on Ricky Starks, the guy who you'd see every week wrestling. Then they put it on Zicky Dice. And although that was a short time before the pandemic's pause, it looked like you would see that title being defended all the time. If you watch Zicky Dice in United Wrestling Network, he's both the Internet Championship for Memphis Wrestling and currently the Heritage Champion in Hollywood. And he's defending the title all the time. And I think if he would have remained in the NWA as TV champion, you'd have seen that. And when the Pope won the title, either he was defending the title or there was a match to determine the number one contender almost every week. And I feel like with Tyrus as champion, it's taken a back seat in terms of value, in terms of credibility. And it sucks because that TV title should be prominently featured. Like I said, even if it was just a number one contenders match with Tyrus on commentary, it would have built up that division, that title, that make it more meaningful. Taking it on, Poyo agrees. Yeah. Dave Scooby says, I love that Bobby Fulton commented on the Spectaculars wrestling in the NWA. I mean, that is like, it's got to be a throwback to the Fabulous Ones, right? And Heap says, didn't Tim Storm cheat to defeat Jack Stane for the title back in the day? I don't remember exactly the circumstances. I do believe it was under scrupulous means, but Tim Storm was a different guy back then. You got to remember, Jack Stane and Tim Storm had a feud that really kind of carried the NWA post the New Japan relationship. Jack Stane was the North American champion. He was the national champion. Tim Storm was the North American champion. Jax unified those belts. He got hurt, and then the title was vacated. Tim Storm ended up winning the North American Championship again. And then Jack Stane would later go on to win the world's title. Who did he lose to? Tim Storm. They had quite a rivalry. And I'm glad that the Pope would agree. Like when he was TV champion, it was important. That title felt like it meant something. And like I just don't feel that way with Tyrus. And that's just how they're using Tyrus. It's not him the person, it's just how he's being used. And again, if you put somebody like Caprice Coleman in that picture, Jordan Clearwater, a Marche Rocket, there's a whole bunch of guys on the roster that would fit perfectly in that TV title spot. The least of which would be Caprice Coleman. The least of which, I didn't mean to say it like that. I meant to say Caprice would be a good TV champion. Shad says the Ageless One would make 7 defenses and get a shot at the world title. Money. Yeah, man. I mean, it would be a fun ride, too. Lamb says, I remember when Matt Cross was in those 3-way no contender matches and lost all the time. Yeah, they never did Matt Cross any favors in the NWA. That's for sure. Lamb says, give the TV title to Clearwater and let him do something with it. He should be way higher on the card than he is now in the NWA. Well, I mean, for sure, we see Clearwater presented differently in United. We see him presented differently when he works for New Japan Strong. It's a shame that he isn't presented in an established way in the NWA. Similarly, but, everyone's a cog in the machine, I guess. Yeah, Poyo. I think it's great. This is the kind of stuff that I enjoy. We can be tongue in cheek all we want if it like plays off the history. That stuff is fun to me. Yeah, I think you're right, man. I think Lamb. I think what Marquez and company are doing for Jordan Clearwater, I think is really setting him up to be a bigger star, whether it be in the NWA or any pro wrestling company. I mean, they put him with Blake Bulletproof Troop back in the day. Now he's with Invictus Cash and the United Wrestling Network version of the Embassy with Prince Nana, and it's compelling. His promos are starting to get better. His in-ring work is pretty solid. And I'm sure the time he's spending in the NWA is benefiting his, more of his sports entertainment, more of his promos. How he's, let's not make any bones about it. Tyrus is great on the mic. And if Jordan Clearwater just learned some of that through osmosis, he'd be better off. Clearwater is up and coming 100%. Poyo says he just needs to fix that dumb hair. Do you guys know what an axolotl is? Every time I see Jordan Clearwater, I think of an axolotl. Poyo, maybe you need to take him under your wing. And Lamb says Clearwater faced Adonis, Kazarian, Cabana, and Mac. That is something already for him. Yeah, man. Yeah. Chris Johnson says any promo that doesn't mention bro dates for Dos Equis is a step up. Look, man, I'm all about those. I think that this is a good idea for Rush Freeman. As much as I really like the dynamic between Alex Taylor and my boy Jeremiah Plunkett. I feel like Rush Freeman was the odd man out, and putting them in a tag team like this might make a lot of sense. And that's the thing we've spent the whole podcast talking about. These guys need to get more of these unknown names established, and that's how they're going to grow. Because you can't count on, the former WWE guy. You can't count on the former AEW guy to grow your brand. You're going to have to grow from within. And, we talk about some of these guys won't be wrestling in 5 years. And that's just the fact. There's some guys in the roster right now that you won't see wrestling in 5 years. So you need to start with the youth movement. You need to start bringing these guys up. And, Freeman and Pierce, man. Although I kind of wish they were spelt Pierce like the former world's champion. It just make me laugh. Poyo says Polish chicken. I'll have to take a look at that later. Chris Johnson says the tag team looks like $1 million, but we all have to agree that was awkward as hell. Chris, you're right, man. It was strange, but I'm cool with it. I'm fine with it because at least they had an opportunity. Like they had an opportunity for this to happen. They got TV time. Now we have a reason for it. Tonight they're going to wrestle against the world tag team champions. Let's test their mettle, see what they're about. And if they're any good, maybe on Saturday they're the new U.S. Tag Team Champions. Stranger things have happened. I know we're about 3 minutes till, but I'm going to keep talking until you guys don't want me to, or until it hits 3:05. Poyo says Rush fits well in this team. I suggested Brady and Rush months ago, so glad it's happening. And hey, at least we got an explanation. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so much stuff happens off camera. I'm glad they brought it right there in front of us. You saw Jeremiah Plunkett kind of eat his words. He kind of looked like in a bad place because he thought he was bringing Brady Pierce into the fold, and in reality, he lost both guys. And, they said Rush Freeman was the weak link, but, Lamb says, did we become best friends? Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Look, you're right. Chris, you're right. It was a little cringy. It was a little awkward. But I think at the end result, I think we're all going to be happy with it. I think it's all going to be fun. Let's see. So I guess this is a good place to stop, man, because it is about 7 minutes till Power. And we did talk a lot about Power. We talked a lot of wrestling today. If you want to join my buddies, the other Alliance guys, at actually this time tomorrow, that would be 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific here on the West Coast. You could check out the other Alliance guys. They both broadcast on YouTube and on Twitch. Check them out, the other Alliance guys. And of course, the OGs will be here Thursday night. Hopefully, I know I was under the weather. I know Pal DK has been under the weather. I know Jaden has a lot of work with the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Hopefully, it's not just me on Thursday, but it might be just me. So I hope you guys will come hang out with me and get us going. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, guys, thanks for joining me on this special episode of the pre-party. It's a lot of fun. You guys make my Tuesdays very fun and entertaining. And until next time, I'll see you at the matches. Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA POWERRR every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the